Okay, so this session is I'm going to talk you through what we have evaluated from filling out your performance profile, and I did one as well to triangulate what we feel and try and meet in the middle to see what we think your needs are. We from observation, observing the way that you play, and from filling out questionnaires, I've concluded that I feel that you're lacking confidence in taking your shots, your penalty shoots. So that's something that we need to work on. So I'm going to show you, take you through some of the strategies and interventions that might be useful going forward in game scenario. And we've got a picture of Bolt for obvious reasons. He's very confident, but he can control that confidence to his benefit, which makes him excel in his sport, his running. Okay, so what is sports psychology? Obviously you need to be able to trust in me, the sports psychologist, and not just think that I'm waffling on with myself. There is a point to these sessions. The session is to improve your confidence in 4 different areas. So the goal of the sports psychologist is to improve the athlete's overall sporting performance. According to the research, the 4 corners model breaks the athlete's key areas on which an athlete should focus down into 4 corners. These 4 corners consist of psychology, physiology, technical side and the tactical side. So the psychology is theory based, reading up on strategies, doing what we're doing at the moment, learning how you can control those emotions, anything that's making you nervous or lack confidence, lack motivation, etc, etc. Physiology is obviously your fitness, how fit your body is and is able to execute the skills that need to be completed for your session. Technical technique in how you're going to take these penalties, which might be something that we might go over in your session at some point. And tactical is obviously tactics for your opposition, theory and practice, football training, and obviously reading up about the game and what tactics you can use in executing the correct penalty shootout. So psychological skills training program, what is it? The model allows the sports psychologist to identify psychological areas which need support. Again, this is what you've entered into. Support is offered via interventions, treatment, which provides the athlete with strategies to use before, during and after their game, and it's going to aid your overall performance, hopefully. So goal setting. Okay, we need to set goals in order to be able to know whether or not are we achieving the goals, are we wasting our time in our sessions. We want to make sure that the training is for a purpose, and the purpose is to improve your skill in that area. So we need to make these goals SMART. The SMART stands for, we've got the S, which is specific. We've got specific skills and specific areas that we're going to focus on, and we will be doing going forward in your sessions. They need to be measurable. We need to make sure that we're making progress. They need to be attainable. Are they something that you're actually able to do? Are they something that you can use going forward? Is it relevant to yourself? Is it something that you need to learn? Well, hopefully if it's your goal and it's about you and you set it, then hopefully your focus will be relevant. And time, it needs to be in, obviously, within a certain time that you can execute these skills. Okay, so as a result of establishing the athlete's weaknesses from carrying out a needs analysis, which would be the observation, the questionnaires, the performance profiling, you were asked to consider your goals. If you remember the list that I got you to write of the short, intermediate and long-term goals, of which I've agreed would be relevant to yourself. So your long-term goal was to implement technique and mental strategies in high pressure game scenarios. So you want to put it in game situation. Intermediate goal was to develop a range of strategies to remain calm, composed and controlled when taking a penalty kick. So obviously we're going to be implementing the strategies that I'm going to be showing you in the sessions. And short term, obviously you need to increase your confidence and technique in taking penalties. So 5C's model is something which I want you to consider as well, because obviously you're going to be playing as a team player in a sport, football. You need confidence, which is something that we're going to work on. Commitment, so you're going to make a decision and you're going to stick to it. There's no changing minds, especially when, even more so when you're taking penalty shots. You need to control not only physically the ball, but control your emotions, control how you're feeling, whether or not you're feeling nervous, are the crowds affecting you. You do need to maintain control, something that I'll go into a little bit later. You need communication. You're a team player. You're going to need to speak to your defence and people around you to support you in being successful in the sport. And concentration, obviously you're a goalkeeper, you need to concentrate and remain focused throughout the game. Developing these 5Cs, so we need to promote the C, we need to show you how important confidence is. You need something that we can show you for that is a role models. We need to be looking at role models. How do they achieve what I want to aspire to be? We need to take ownership. Are we doing something well? Are we doing something poor? Think practically, how can we improve those skills? We need to grow this C, so we need to obviously work on the confidence that we've pinpointed as an area that you need to work on. We need to reinforce these skills. Empower peer support, so other people around you need to be reinforcing and growing the C with you. We need to support the support. Obviously that's given, and the self-review and responsiveness, because you obviously need to evaluate how you think you are achieving certain skills and how effective your training actually is. Okay. 3 F's. Okay, so this kind of touches on the last point that we made with the evaluating, self-review and responsiveness. Because we're going to fix the problem, we're going to fix the area. We need to we need to pinpoint what it is that you're doing wrong, and you need to consider how we're going to not make that same mistake again. And you need to visualise the way that it should have been completed, the action should have been completed, in which case you need to be looking at things like role models, videos, other players, etc. And practising your skills. You need to forget about it, so you need to be positive about the mistakes that you've made, because we're going to learn from those mistakes, and we're going to focus on how we're going to improve these skills going forward. So one of the strategies that you can use is self-talk, positive feedback, etc. So imagery is another strategy. Imagery is keeping the practice as close to real game scenario as possible, surroundings, environment and timing. So obviously we can't go into a game scenario, but we can make it as realistic as possible in training and in practice. So we're going to... So relaxation is another strategy that we can use. Obviously high pressure situation, you're walking onto a field, you're going to take a penalty shot and it could make or break your game. You're going to take a minute to focus on what it would feel like to execute the perfect penalty. So I've got a little scenario for you. I'd just like you to give this a go, okay? So if you could close your eyes, breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Okay. Imagine feeling your boots sink into the grass. You handed the football and you begin walking towards the penalty shot, shutting out the noise of the crowd whilst focusing on your breathing. So nothing else around you is affecting you. You're just focused on what it is that you need to do. You're concentrating on your decision making that you've made prior to gaining the ball, and you're going to be taking that shot, not looking up at the goalkeeper because you don't want him or her to know where you're going to be putting that ball in the back of the net, and you're going to visualise the ball hitting the back of the net. Okay. This is something that you could be doing going forwards, prior to your game situation. Obviously it wouldn't be ideal to shut your eyes during the, kind of walking down the tunnel or anything, but it would be something that you could be focused on. Okay, so just really quickly I'm going to show you some short videos. Science of penalty taking is the first one, and the other two are two different styles of penalty shooting that you'll probably recognise the people doing them.
Without a doubt, it's the biggest pressure moment a footballer will ever face.
And it should be the easiest job in the world.
One kick, and that will keep it a bit. So just why it's taking it so stressful.
Get ready for the science of penalty taking. Penalty shootout is a really interesting, multi-dimensional environment because it's the interaction between the body and the brain, and particularly the eyes, what the eyes are actually seeing. Because what the eyes see, the brain then computes and then translates that to a physical response. And it's really a fight or flight mechanism because it's fear that fundamentally drives it. What we see is things like an increasing release of adrenaline, this hormone which is actually produce already an increase in the heart rate, which can rise really quite dramatically from resting levels of naturally about 60.
Let's suppose that you're writing a really important email to a colleague.
Okay, so this shot is known as the Panenka shot, and it's supposedly one of the most difficult to execute within the game. But just wanted to show you different people executing this, and obviously they'll be using their own strategies in regulating their own arousal, with the crowds in the background and the pressure on them, and they're confident enough to choose that specific strategy of scoring that goal. You can see how much pressure's on him. He's kind of running, isn't he? And then he's just dinking the ball at the last minute to make the goalkeeper dive, when in actual fact he's just going to dink it into the corner. Okay, so the last video is obviously Alan Shearer. It's the one I think that applies most to you, as you do have a lot of power.
Well, this is where your mind starts to play tricks with you. What should you do? That walk is one hell of a long walk, and there's a million things that are going through your mind. Try and stay calm, albeit you can feel your heart beating that little bit faster. you've got to believe in what you've trained to do. And you have to stay in control of the situation. Are you looking at the keeper? I'm not looking at the goalkeeper.
So we're going to be training outside in a park and focusing on these skills and these strategies that I'm going to show you. Obviously that would be the task, or those would be the tasks. You're learning, the tasks will become more progressive if, you know, as your ability improves. Or else your learning is going to be halted. I'm going to use some videos to use emotion as a tactic, something that, you know, is going to empower you and help you going forward. And perspectives that we're going to use are your own. You're going to self-evaluate mine, because I need to show you what I think, and make sure that we're kind of meeting in the middle and knowing that we're all singing from the same hymn sheet, if you will. Just to avoid unreliable results and to prevent bias. So I'm going to show you a video now of Tiger Woods, obviously a successful golfer. Who you know, uses some techniques in a very high pressure game.
When I come down and stay with him at the Junior World Championships, we do some sessions. It was pretty cool of how it helped me understand a different part of my creativity.
Tiger was tremendous because he has such a gifted creative imagination.
I could never control it. I mean, I couldn't fathom someone saying, you know, visualizing off shot.
Okay, so we watched the video. Self-talk, and it was talking about obviously different strategies that he uses. Another strategy that I feel might be beneficial to you would be a strategy known as self-talk. It's positively talking to, you know, self-talk, using positive language instead of beating yourself up when you make a mistake. It's going to be positive, and it's it's cognitive restructuring. So it's changing the way that you're thinking about your actions, and you're going to reward your own behaviour with positive thoughts as opposed to beating yourself up. So another video I thought I'd show you. Okay, so we've gone through all the strategies, techniques, interventions, and obviously your focus at the beginning would be confidence. So the next session is going to be a practical session where we're going to implement these strategies and hopefully practice and become confident in executing the skill.
Yep.
Are you happy with everything that I've showed you? Do you understand everything?
Yeah, going to try and put them into effect in an actual gaming situation now.
Yeah,
So
so
we can improve.
hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be able to show how you're progressing in your...
Yeah.
Okay, so before you take any shots...
The session was introduced as a follow-up from conducting observations, a performance profile which was filled out by the athlete and myself in order to give a more accurate indication of what she needed to work on. This is called triangulation.
Everybody can shoot at a net.
A short questionnaire was also completed by the athlete. From these, we determined that the athlete needs to work on confidence and commitment in taking penalties in order to improve her game.
Think about the videos, think about the role models that we talked through in your session. We talked about the fact that you particularly liked Alan Shearer's strategy of power, but have you thought about where you're going to hit it in net? So you need to be thinking about all that, thinking about visualising it going into the back of the net, thinking about imagery, and you know, your self-talk. So self-talk, I want positive, only positive from you, no beating yourself up. These sessions are, you know, going to improve your confidence, so we need to make sure that you're positive all the way. Go on, off you go. Okay, so it kind of almost rolled into the net, that. I feel like it could have been a lot more power, so let's get your curve. Good. Make sure you take a good run up for that power, and your laces, you're going to hit it with the laces. Good. Are you aiming for a particular part of the net? Just the middle, down the middle you're going? Well, you're going to have to make sure that you've researched your opponent then. Is your goalkeeper not going to, is he the type that always is definitely going to go either way? He's definitely that type, is he? Okay, go on then. Good. We've got the power, we've got it down the middle. Okay, go.
Before the introduction of a goalkeeper, the importance of imagery was discussed with the client as a strategy to regulate arousal in what is known to be one of the most intense scenarios in any sport, the penalty kick. Recreating a real match atmosphere and the pressure that comes with a penalty-taking responsibility is nigh on impossible, so imagery is crucial in mentally preparing our athlete for the real thing. I asked the athlete to fully immerse herself in the image of a full stadium, the atmosphere of the crowd, and the turf beneath her feet. Using positive visualization techniques, I taught the athlete through picturing a positive result in which she controlled her emotions, regulated her levels of arousal, and dispatched the penalty like she has numerous times before in training. As signs of progression were being shown, we recapped the proposed strategies and interventions before taking shots at the net with a goalkeeper.
Imagery. Imagine it going into the net, you're walking up. Okay, better for power, there's more power behind that. There's more power behind it. Did you get it where you wanted to get it? Yeah. Okay. tips where you're going to focus, where you're going to go, where your eyes are looking at, your body language.
Strategies were rehearsed and recapped during all parts of the session to ensure the athlete had used them by herself going forward.
Wide as high as that bolt there. We're going to take some shots now, plant it in the net, think of visualisation, thinking about it hitting the back of the net, and you're going to aim for a specific part of the net. So thinking top left, top right, think about where you're going to plant it and try and focus. That was right down the middle, right towards the athlete. Power, don't forget. Good power. Thinking about decision making now, so where are you going to plant it in your net? A little bit closer would have been positive. What positive thoughts? Think, I can do it. I can do it. It's in the post. You've been unlucky now. You've been unlucky. So, in conclusion of the session, do you feel like you got something from it?
Yeah, definitely. I felt like my accuracy improved and judging where to hit the ball into the net as well.
I feel like it did as well. I mean, we did. We started off with an empty net, just so that you could think about your decision making, about where it was you were going to plant it into the net, who you were going to base, what role model you were going to use, and what strategy you were going to use. You chose power and down the middle. I've got to tell you, it doesn't always work that, because it depends on your research. You need to make sure you're doing enough research on your opposing team. You need a lot of confidence to choose that strategy. So therefore you need to be making sure you're continuing with your self-talk, with your imagery. How do you feel like? Do you think you could implement the strategies going forward? Did you find it useful at all?
Yeah. When I made a mistake, I used the self-talk, told myself that I can do it, and I'm going to succeed at doing it. And then it did help the next time I did do it.
Okay.
I tended to make less mistakes after I'd done that, rather than telling myself I can't do it.
Yeah, because in the first session, the first group that we did 2 sessions of shooting at the goals with the goalkeeper, and in the first session, before you'd made, you'd practice your accuracy. So I think there's technique involved there as well, and your strategy of where you were which one you were going to use, which role model you were going to choose, and what technique you were going to use, and in the first session you achieved 5 out of the 12, and then second sessions you did seem to make an improvement. You did score 8 out of the 12. So bit by bit, I feel like the more you practice, and the more you score, the more your confidence is going to improve, and it's going to come on leaps and bounds. Okay, so we'll go through. We'll continue with this practice going forwards while it's working for yourself. And if there's anything else that you need to work on, then obviously we'll try and pinpoint it in the future sessions. Okay.